Do you ever feel like you're paying more tax than you should? Well, you're not the only one. Last year, UK businesses overpaid £14.2 billion in taxes. That's money stuck with HMRC instead of helping your business grow. And after working in many drone businesses, I've seen the most common things they forget to claim. So today, I'll show you how to legally pay less tax and what expenses you can actually write off as a drone pilot. Let's get into it so you never overpay on taxes again. Let me tell you about Novak. He bought a drone, put it as a business expense, and figured, that's it, job done. But what he didn't realize is that the drone was only the starting point. He skipped all the extras: ND filters, memory cards, spare batteries, backup drives, drone bags, charging stations. But even that wasn't where he lost the most. Because Novak also had no idea that HMRC allows you to claim for certain operational costs that support safe and legal drone work. For example, high-vis jackets required on many client sites, steel toe boots mandatory for construction surveys, training courses, and even in some cases prescription safety glasses for pilots who need clear vision to maintain VLOS, supported by medical records. Novak ignored it though, because in his mind these were small things not worth the hassle. But when you add it all up, those small things could easily be worth thousands of pounds. So here's what you should do. First, think about your entire business, not just the drone itself. Everything that supports your operation is probably a valid expense. Second, keep receipts for all your purchases. Gear, training courses, software, safety equipment, storage, all of it adds up very quickly. Once your equipment is sorted, we need to look at the thing that keeps everyone alive. And no, I'm not talking about vitamin D, we don't get that here, I'm talking about food. Novak traveled almost every day to different client sites. But he didn't know the rules about travel meals, so he didn't even bother to keep any record of it. Here's the thing, most drone pilots work in what HMRC calls an itinerant trade. That means you travel to different places to do your job, like filming a video or doing a site survey. The nature of your work allows you to claim meal expenses during those trips. I will cover this topic in more detail in a future video, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out. But if your trade is classified as itinerant, here's exactly what you need to do. First, ensure the amount you pay for the food is not excessive than what you normally would have paid if you were not traveling. In other words, don't go claiming 5-course dinner at a Sky Bar. You have to be reasonable. And yes, Dave, I know that's what you've been doing and you need to stop. Next, keep digital records of your receipts. And finally, ensure that the meal was necessary in the course of a specific job, not just a lunch with your mates. But here's the thing, claiming food is a good starting point to save taxes, but you also need to travel to your clients, and choosing the right vehicle is very important. And here's where it went all wrong for Novak. He thought cars and vans were treated the same for tax. He had a choice: buy a van that could fit all his equipment, or buy a faster sports car that made him look like a drone influencer from Dubai. He went with the sports car. Bad move. He couldn't fit any of his gear in the booth. He would show up to shoots with tripods in the passenger seat and batteries in the glove box. He called it a mobile production studio. The bigger problem, however, was that HMRC doesn't allow you to write off the full cost of a car. You can only claim back 6 to 18% of the cost each year, depending on its CO2 emissions. That means if the car costs 20,000, in some cases you can deduct only 1,200 of that, so not good. A van, however, is treated more favorably, and you can claim 100% of the cost in the first year if you buy it outright or on a hire purchase agreement. You can also claim the cost of a second-hand van, but if you're leasing a van, only the lease payments are allowable. Therefore, buying a van reduces your tax bill and makes your travel easier. Now that you know a van is a smart purchase, let me show you exactly what you need to do. First, make sure what you're buying is actually classed as a van. You'll be surprised how many rules there are, so you should check the HMRC guidance from the link in the description below. Next, separate personal and business miles if you don't drive the van only for work. And finally, if you ever claim the full cost of a van, you cannot use the fixed mileage rate anymore. Your accountant should know how to advise you if you're in this situation, but if you don't have an accountant, drop a comment or send me an email from the description below. Now that you're traveling smart, we need to talk about one of the most misunderstood topics: hiring family members. Novak had read an article about hiring your family for tax efficiency and thought he was the next Wolf of Wall Street. So he made his girlfriend quality assurance manager for watching his drone footage and saying how good it is. His mom was head of logistics for making tea and coffee. He even appointed his dog as site security personnel. Everyone got 12,000 a year, the dog got biscuits, and everything was tax deductible. Here's the thing. Hiring family members is a great way to save on taxes, but unless you want to end up in jail like Novak did, this is what you need to know. First, you need to register as an employer and run proper payroll, even if you pay family members occasionally and infrequently. Next, make sure you're paying your family member for genuine work. Social media, admin, invoicing. It has to be something that actually supports your business. And finally, pay a fair market rate. If you'd only pay 200 to a virtual agent, don't pay your cousin 1,000 for the same job. But here's the thing. Most drone pilots miss out on one of the biggest tax deductions: their homes. Novak had read about claiming home expenses, but he didn't really understand how the rules work. He claimed 100% of the house bills because he edited videos on the sofa a few hours a week. He even repainted the whole flat because the wall color was affecting his creative mood. Nice try, Novak. In my experience, most drone pilots know that they can deduct things like water, heat, council tax, rent, but they don't know what proportion of that to claim. The easiest way to claim home office expenses is to dedicate a specific room in your house just for business. So let's say you have 4 rooms and one of them is your editing or admin space and you don't use it for anything else. That's 25% of your home being used purely for work. Then think about how much of the day you're actually working in there. If you're doing 8-hour days, that's roughly a third of the day. So now you've got 25% for space and 33% for time. You multiply those two numbers and that gives you just over 8%. That's the percentage of your home bills you can claim as a business expense. Now, if you don't have a dedicated room, maybe you work from your living room or kitchen, you can still claim, but HMRC expects you to be reasonable. You need to estimate what portion of that room is actually used for business. Maybe 10 or 15%, depending on the space. The method, however, is the same. Space percentage multiplied by time percentage equals what you can claim. Then apply that to your heating, internet, electricity, rent, and so on. And of course, keep a note of how you worked it out, just in case HMRC ever asks. Now you know how to pay less tax as a drone pilot, but here's the thing. Even the best tax strategy won't help you if your prices are too low. So watch this video next, where I'll show you the signs your pricing is broken and how to fix it without losing clients.